Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vandachari. Yamuna Tira Vandachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vandachari. Yamuna Tira Vandachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Shama Sundar Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Radha Shama Sundara ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gilanjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagurajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Okay, so we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19. The Lord instructs Srila Rupa Goswami, beginning from text 70. I hope everyone's okay with English. Okay, so text number 70. We'll try and go through the Bengali. Dukara Mukhe Nirantara Krishna Nama Shuni Dukara Mukhe Nirantara Krishna Nama Shuni Bhata Kahe Prabhura Kichu Ingita Bhangi Jani Bhata Kahe Prabhura Kichu Ingita Bhani Jani Dunhara Mukhe Nirantara Krishna Nama Shuni Batakahe Prabhura Kichu Ingita Bhangi Jani Dunhara Mukhe Nirantara Krishna Nama Shuni Batakahe Prabhura Kichu Ingita Bhangi Jani. Would anyone like to chant the verse? Dunhara Mukhe Nirantara Krishna Nama Shuni Batakahe Prabhu Kichu Ingita Bhangi Jani. Any of the ladies? No? Okay. Dunhara Mukhe in the mouths of both Rupa Goswami and his brother Vallabha. Nirantara, continuously, Krishna Nama Shuni, hearing the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Bhatta Kahe, Vallabha Bhattacharya said, Prabhura of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kichu, some, Ingita, indications, Bhangi, hints, Jani, understanding. Translation, hearing the holy name constantly vibrated by the two brothers, Vallabha Bhattacharya could understand the hints of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This verse doesn't have a purport, so we'll go on to the next verse. But before we do that, let's just remind ourselves what were the hints of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the previous two verses, actually the previous three verses, were that Vallabha Bhattacharya was walking towards Rupa Goswami and Vallabha. And it says, when Vallabha Bhattacharya walked towards them, they ran away to a more distant place. Rupa Goswami said, I am untouchable and most sinful. Please do not touch me. Vallabha Bhattacharya was very much surprised at this. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, was very pleased, and he therefore spoke to him this description of Rupa Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, don't touch him, for he belongs to a very low caste. You are a follower of Vedic principles and are a well-experienced performer of many sacrifices. You also belong to the aristocracy. So Lord Chaitanya was sort of both teasing and testing Vallabha Bhattacharya. So he was basically saying, no, stay away from them. They're low caste. They're lower than Brahmins. You shouldn't go near them. And then it says Vallabha Bhattacharya could understand the hints of Lord Chaitanya. So he understood what it was that Lord Chaitanya was teaching him. And therefore the next verse, text 71, Dunhara Mukhe Krishna Nama Kariche Nartana Edui Adhama Nahi Haya Sarvotama. Vallabha Bhattacharya said, since these two are constantly chanting the holy name of Krishna, how can they be untouchable? On the contrary, they are most exalted. So Srila Prabhupada's purport, Vallabha Bhattacharya's admission of the brother's exalted position should serve as a lesson to one who is falsely proud of his position as a Brahmin. Sometimes so-called Brahmins do not recognize our European and American disciples as devotees or Brahmins. And some Brahmins are so proud that they do not allow them to enter temples. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu herein gives a great lesson. Although Vallabha Bhattacharya was a great authority on Brahmanism and a learned scholar, he admitted that those who chant the Lord's holy name are bona fide Brahmins and Vaishnavas and are therefore exalted. And then just to sort of give like a prelude, like what's coming next, because the next verse doesn't really have a purport. So Vallabha Bhattacharya then qualified. He gave qualification for his own understanding and realization. It says, Vallabha Bhattacharya then recited the following verse. My dear Lord, one who always keeps your holy name on his tongue becomes greater than an initiated Brahmin. Although he may be born in a family of dog-eaters and may therefore by material calculation be the lowest among men, he is still glorious. This is the wonderful effect of chanting the holy name of the Lord. It is therefore concluded that one who chants the holy name of the Lord should be understood to have performed all kinds of austerities and great sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. He has already taken his bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage. He has studied all the Vedas and is actually an Aryan. And then this is a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 33, verse number 7. So here, by the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, by his interacting with his devotees, and also by his, one of the interesting features of Lord Chaitanya is that he would very often teach through his devotees. A really good example of that is Harinam Chintamani. Harinam Chintamani is a discussion between Lord Chaitanya and Haridas Thakur. And in that book, which is narrated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Lord Chaitanya is asking questions of Haridas Thakur. So he's asking Haridas Thakur. And then Haridas Thakur, he begins by saying, actually, whatever I say are simply words that you're putting in my mouth. So whatever I'm saying now is not me teaching, it is actually you teaching. And you are just putting those words in my mouth so that these words can be heard in the form of discussion. So in the same way, this happens a lot with Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Ramananda Roy is another very, very good example. That Ramananda Roy, they're having a discussion, and both Lord Chaitanya is teaching, but also he's allowing Ramananda Roy to share his realizations. So there are lots of examples of this, where Lord Chaitanya will empower someone else to speak on his behalf. So here, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya are coming through the mouth of Vallabha Bhattacharya. He's basically repeating what he's learned from Lord Chaitanya. One of the examples which is sometimes given is that just like when we bathe in the Ganga and we take the water of the Ganges and we offer the water of the Ganges to the Ganges. So we're simply offering to the Ganges what came from Ganga in the first place. And in the same way, the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, they're offering the wisdom that Lord Chaitanya has given, and they're offering it back in service to Lord Chaitanya. They're offering that wisdom, that knowledge, back as a service to Lord Chaitanya. So the knowledge has come from Lord Chaitanya, but they're just offering it back. So one of the very, very powerful messages, and we have to consider as well, the time that Lord Chaitanya was present and what was happening at that particular time. So Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, they were born in a Brahmin family, an exalted Brahmin family. They were born in a very, very aristocratic, very, very high-class Brahmin family, but simply because they were actually forced. They didn't want to, but against their will, they were forced into the service of a Mohammedan government, and for this reason, they were rejected by their own community. So it was a very, very, very sort of caste-conscious culture that existed at the time. So one of the things that Lord Chaitanya was teaching very, very strongly is that the process which he has come to give is transcendental to all material considerations. All material considerations. It doesn't matter what type of a birth one has had. It doesn't matter what one has done in the past. What matters is that right here, right now, one surrenders to the process which has been given by the Lord, chanting the holy name of God. And then through that process, one is accepted as even higher than a Brahmin. So in one sense, he's, one of the one of the pastimes which really comes to mind. In Chaitanya Shikshamrita, one book which is given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he describes the different anartas, like the various different anartas, the unwanted things in the heart that can cause problems for devotees on their journey towards prema. Because, we see that there is this journey that one takes from Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anarta Nivriti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. This is a journey that the living entity goes on their path to eventually take shelter at the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. And one devotee, he was one devotee, disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He made the point that this point of anarta nivriti, devotees really get stuck there. They get stuck there for a long time. And so they need as much help as they can possibly get. They really need to do everything possible to sort of, as quickly as possible, get beyond that stage of anarta nivriti. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's identified the different types of anartas that can cause problems for the living entities, and he's identified the pastimes of Krishna which represent Krishna destroying those anartas. So the different demons who appeared in Vrindavan to attack Krishna, they represent different anartas. And by Krishna's killing those demons, this is Krishna killing those particular anartas. So just as Krishna killed those anartas in the form of demons, so similarly we can invite Krishna into our heart in the form of those particular pastimes, meditate upon those pastimes, think about those pastimes, read those pastimes, discuss those pastimes, hear those pastimes, and invite Krishna within our heart so that he can kill those demons of anartas within our hearts. Because ultimately, we are helpless without the help of Krishna. We can't free ourselves of those anartas independently. Lord Chaitanya's teaching in his Shikshastakam, Chaitodharpanamarjanam, that the holy name cleanses the heart of all the unwanted things. So it's not us that cleanses the heart. It's inviting Krishna into our heart, and we're asking him, you're the supreme powerful, only you. Our endeavor is to invite Krishna and to take shelter of Krishna and to meditate upon Krishna and to think of Krishna. But ultimately, it's not our endeavor that actually removes those anartas. It's Krishna reciprocating with our endeavor and Krishna taking responsibility for cleaning those things out of the heart. So one of the anartas which Bhaktivinoda Thakur identifies is pride of being a Brahmin or pride of Varnashram, pride of one's position within Varnashram, and indifference to Krishna. That being very, very proud of one's position within the Varnashram institution, particularly of being a Brahmin, having pride of being that causes one to be indifferent to Krishna. It causes one to just lose interest in Krishna and to only be interested in oneself and where one stands within that Varnashram institution. And the pastime which represents Krishna destroying that anarta is delivering the wives of the Brahmins who were performing sacrifices. So Krishna didn't kill the Brahmins like he kills some other demons, but he killed their pride. He killed their pride. He established that their wives, who were very, very simple, who didn't have the same type of cultural education or training that their husbands may have had, as Brahmins. They didn't know all the mantras and all the rituals, and they weren't doing all the yajnas. They weren't kind of doing all those things which can very, very easily impress people. We can become very easily impressed by externals, by looking at all the fancy rituals and the fancy mudras and listening to all the fancy mantras. And it's not that those things have no value. They do have a value. Krishna himself gave varnashram. He himself has, I was speaking last night to one devotee, Krishna has given the material world as a gift to the Brahmins. And then the Brahmins, they give it to the Kshatriyas to look after. But it's like Krishna gives it as a gift to the Brahmins. So it's not that varnashram and being a Brahmin has no value, but actually even more important than that is devotion to Krishna. And if being a Brahmin or being whatever we are within that, not just within varnashram, but just within society in general, if our position, if the title that we may have or the position that we may hold, if that intoxicates us so much that becomes more important to us, and we think that we're better than other people because of the position we have or the title that we have, if we think that we're better than other people because of that, then this is the same principle that's being described. And so Krishna, I heard a devotee, Vaisheshika Prabhu. Vaisheshika was speaking about the Govardhan Leela. And he said, of all the anarthas that Krishna really doesn't like, the anartha of pride is one that he really doesn't like. And of all the different types of pride that especially a devotee can experience, the pride of entitlement. Because Indra had this mood of entitlement. I'm entitled. Because of who I am, I deserve this worship. I deserve this recognition. I deserve the puja. I deserve for people to recognize me, to recognize who I am, what I've done. I deserve that entitlement. Krishna really doesn't like that. And so he smashed the pride of Indra. He smashed the pride of the Brahmins who were performing sacrifices. So he really doesn't like this pride. Now, we may say, well, we're chanting the holy name. We're already doing this. We're already transcendental to being a Brahmin. We may be Brahmin initiated, but actually what's more important is that we're Vaishnavas. But actually, just as someone can become very, very proud of being a Brahmin, we can also be very, very proud of being devotees. We can become very, very entitled. We can feel very entitled. We've seen this many, 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 many times over the years, that because I'm a devotee, we start talking about the karmis, the karmi demons. It's like these horrible people, we have to go out there and distribute books, but actually, these horrible karmi demons, and we start to think that as devotees, we're entitled. As devotees, we're better. We forget. One devotee was out on Sankirtan. He was doing book distribution. And one man walked past him. And this man was in a very, very, very bad condition. He was obviously very intoxicated and obviously absolutely broken. Just broken by life, by everything that he'd done and everything that he'd experienced. He was just a mess. And when the devotee saw that man, he said, but for the grace of Srila Prabhupada, there go I. But for the grace of Srila Prabhupada, there go I. In other words, were it not for the mercy of Guru and Krishna and the devotees intervening in our lives, where would we be? Where would we have been? I know if I look back on my life, where I was in life at the point that Krishna intervened. And in one sense, we can say, well, maybe we're picking up from a previous life. But also we hear about causeless mercy. If we look at the type of life we lived, the type of things that we did. I remember, just to give one example, when I first moved into the temple, I started having a daily shower. That was a revolutionary thing for me. To actually cleanse the body every single day was something I didn't do before practicing Krishna consciousness. That's not to say everyone has that habit, but, for many people in the world, even basic cleanliness is so far away from their daily life. So only by the grace and the guidance of devotees are we now even glimpsing, even just looking through the tiniest crack in the door at Krishna consciousness. We're barely even glimpsing it. And whatever we are, whatever we know, is only by the grace, kindness, and patience of devotees. So, just as Krishna speaks very, very strongly about, or not just speaking, but he acts very, very strongly against pride, against entitlement, against thinking oneself to be better than others. Similarly, we should be very, 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 very careful not to think that because I'm a devotee, because I'm a member of ISKCON, because I'm practicing Krishna consciousness, I'm now better than everyone else. We're here by grace and kindness. We're here by divine grace. And therefore, this is why Srila Prabhupada once said that it's actually not possible to repay the Guru for all the things that we've received from the Guru. It's not possible. But we can try to repay that gift by serving the Guru in his mission. And the mission of the Guru is the mission of Lord Chaitanya, and the mission of Lord Chaitanya is to share Krishna consciousness with others. So somehow or other, help spread Krishna consciousness, help share Krishna consciousness with others in whatever way we can. In whatever way we can, whether that's through book distribution, whatever it is that we're doing, ultimately we're here to share the message of Krishna consciousness with others. And, coming back as well to this point that, Lord Chaitanya, Vallabha Bhattacharya through Lord Chaitanya is saying that because they're constantly chanting the holy name of Krishna, how can they be untouchable? We also have to, excuse me, we also have to explore the quality of chanting, the quality of chanting the holy name. Is it that any chanting of the holy name automatically makes us higher than a Brahmin? Is it that any effort to chant the holy name? In one sense, the kindness of Guru, the kindness of Lord Chaitanya, the kindness of Lord Nityananda is that they accept our effort, they accept our endeavor to try to be Krishna conscious. But also, we shouldn't necessarily be satisfied with just, I was speaking, I meet with a few devotees every week online, and we read Shivaram Maharaj's books together and discuss them. And one of the points that we were discussing last week, so in English, there is a sort of expression that sometimes comes up in describing life. It's like a very, very cynical, it's a very, very cynical sort of way of looking at how life is. And it's like this cycle: get up, get out of bed, go to work, come home, go to bed. Get up, go to work, go home, go to bed. Get up, go to work, go home, go to bed. And that's like life. We have to be very careful that as devotees we don't fall into the same trap. Get up, chant our rounds, do puja, do our service, go home, eat prasadam, go to bed. And it becomes like just going through the motions. Just going through the motions. Very external. You know, like our practice becomes it becomes ritualistic. Just like these Brahmins are very proud of their external ritualistic practices, we can also become very, very proud, thinking that we're better than other people, when actually our practices of Krishna consciousness are also very, very ritualistic. You know, we chant our rounds. Srila Prabhupada once, to illustrate this point, Srila Prabhupada once, he was chanting japa. And when he got to the end of his 16 rounds, he picked up his bead bag and he did that thing that we do as devotees, which is spin the rope around. He put the beads down, he said, "There, now I've done my 16 rounds, I can do any damn thing I want. Now I've finished my rounds, I can do anything that I want. It's just, you know, finished, out of the way, now I can do what I like." And that might, you know, for some people, that might be the beginning of their Krishna consciousness, but we shouldn't stay at the beginning. We should move forward. We should move forward. And so, you know, if we are ritualistic and just doing everything in a very, very routine way, that's not the type of chanting that Lord Chaitanya is necessarily talking about here. You know, to be more exalted than a Brahman and to be considered a Vaishnava because we're chanting the holy name, this is describing a very particular quality of chanting. This isn't just talking about ritualistic, unconscious, routine chanting. This is talking about very deep absorption. And so to reach that point of very, very deep absorption requires a very serious sort of holistic, like a holistic lifestyle of Krishna consciousness. You know, Srila Prabhupada said that we should chant Hare Krishna like a child calls for its mother. Now, how is it that a child is able to call for its mother with the quality that it has? It's because the child is so absorbed in the mother's form, qualities, pastimes, smell. Everything about the mother is so deeply ingrained within the consciousness of the child that when the child calls for the mother's name, it calls the mother's name fully absorbed in thinking of the mother. When it calls the mother's name, the child sees its mother within its mind. It hears its mother's voice within its mind. Why? Because it has so deeply absorbed the person of the mother that when the child calls out the mother's name, it's like immediately the mother comes into the mind of the child. So for us to chant Hare Krishna with such deep absorption, we need to really dedicate our own time to hearing and chanting about Krishna, to seeing Krishna. In one sense, we say, yeah, just chant Hare Krishna. You just have to chant Hare Krishna. But to get to that point of deep absorption, we really need to hear about Krishna, speak about Krishna, see Krishna, talk about Krishna, discuss Krishna, meditate on Krishna. We need to give so much of our time both to being absorbed in Krishna and also giving up those things which are actually going to distract us from Krishna. I work in a school. It's a Hindu faith school in the UK. It's connected with ISKCON, affiliated with ISKCON. So as schools go, it's a good school. It's as good as a school is going to be right now in the UK. It's not perfect, not by a long, long way, but we see Srila Prabhupada's pictures, we have deities of Gaura Nitai, we have beautiful pictures of the Panchatattva, we have Srila Prabhupada's books in every room, and some of the classes are touched with Krishna consciousness. But one of the things that has really, really disturbed me since I started working there is just how difficult it is for the children in the school to actually concentrate. Especially our younger generation, but it's not just our younger generation, it's us. Our brains are being systematically rewired by social media, by TikTok, by watching short videos and just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Our brains are being rewired to not be able to focus or concentrate or sit still for a second. So we have to be very, very careful that as we are trying to be Krishna conscious, we're also avoiding those things which are actually going to stop us from thinking of Krishna and meditating on Krishna. Because I have fallen into that trap, and I see many other devotees fall into that trap of having side by side with Krishna consciousness these kind of distractions, even in the name of Krishna consciousness. Oh, I'm watching Krishna conscious videos, I'm looking at Krishna conscious social media, but actually we have to be very careful that our brains don't get completely rewired to not be able to absorb. So just like, the 4 regulative principles, they don't make us Krishna conscious. Avoiding illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, gambling. We don't become Krishna conscious by avoiding those things. We become Krishna conscious by hearing and chanting and being absorbed in Krishna. But by avoiding those things, that helps us to be absorbed in Krishna. That gets us closer to that platform of goodness so that we can think about Krishna. We're not going to go back to Godhead by being celibate. Srila Prabhupada would say even the monkeys are, maybe the monkeys is a bad example, but it's like, he said the monkey, they're like, they're vegetarian. They're definitely not celibate, but, so many animals, and even animals are a good example. Animals are very often more regulated in their sex life than humans. They just once a year at the right time, according to nature's arrangement, that, pregnancy will happen in animals, So regulative principles don't make us Krishna conscious. Chanting Hare Krishna, hearing about Krishna, reading about Krishna, talking about Krishna, discussing Krishna, that's what makes us Krishna conscious. But these other things, they help us to train our mind and our body and our consciousness in such a way that we can chant Hare Krishna, that we can listen to pastimes of Krishna without being distracted. So it's not just chanting Hare Krishna that makes us a Vaishnava, and it's not that being a Vaishnava makes us better than everyone else. First of all, we have to be very careful that what we're doing in our Krishna consciousness is of the quality that really is going to allow us to chant the holy name that Lord Chaitanya is describing here. But also, even if we do attain that platform, we have to be very careful to avoid pride, entitlement. I'm a devotee, I'm better than everyone, whatever I need, I should have. Whatever, our congregation should provide everything that I want. It's like we have to be very careful not to have that mood of entitlement. We're here to serve. We're here to serve each other and to serve the world by giving Krishna consciousness, by helping people. We've been rescued. We were drowning in the ocean, we were put on a lifeboat, we were rescued. Now our job is to help rescue other people that were in exactly the same position of us. We're not better than other people, we're just more fortunate. There's a big difference with being much more fortunate because of being rescued than being better than other people. Krishna really doesn't like that pride. And if it arises in the heart, he will make sure that we need to get rid of it. So we'll stop there. Any comments, questions, reflections from anyone? I hope this was okay. Mataji. Yeah, but we should be reading regularly over and over. And well, first of all, very quickly, because we have to finish, but there's actually, I have a PDF which describes all the anartas and all the different demons that they represent. And if anyone wants it, I can share it with them. But also in Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, Shivarama, she talks about the difference between Naimitika pastimes and Nitya Leela. Naimitika Leela, Nitya Leela. Naimitika Leela are the pastimes that Krishna only performs when he's in the material world. And then the Nitya Leela, those are the pastimes that Krishna performs in the spiritual world and the material world. So Nitya Leela is Krishna playing with the cowherd boys, dancing with the gopis, and so on. And then the Naimitika pastimes are Krishna's killing the demons, Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill to protect the residents from Indra. These kind of pastimes, Krishna delivering the wives of the Brahmins. These are only pastimes that happen in the material world. When we're very, very deeply rooted in Anarta Nivriti, it's recommended that while we should read all of Krishna's pastimes, we should pay special attention to absorbing and meditating on the Naimitika Leela, because that will help to uproot those unwanted desires in the heart. Is that okay? Okay. We'll stop there. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Shyamasundar ki jai. Vaishnav Sangha ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Just leave things here. All right. Thank you, Paul. Very good.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Brahmins. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
It was fine.
I hope so. After the devotees.
You check the link. That is the phone.
Oh,
You can check the link. I'm coming down. Okay.
Okay. Says low battery.
I'm coming.
Okay. Namaha